Okay, before starting the demo, on the right there is the token flow we have designed. As the Tokenizer integration flow is the same for all this operation, in the demo I'm going to show only the flow for the payment phase, where a data consumer can pay for some data to the data provider with the tokens. In particular, for the payment, we are using the in advance payment strategy, where a data consumer pays the token amount before the data exchange. For the next release, we should discuss in detail the flow for the a posteriori payment strategies. The first, where a token amount is pre-approved by the data consumer and the data provider takes care of the token withdrawal. And the second, where the payment for each piece of data must be approved step by step by the data consumer. Okay, we can start the demo. For convenience, I have already configured in my wallet the identities for the actors of i3 Market. In this demo, we will use the identity of the data consumer one and the data provider one for the payment. To start, a data consumer who wants to request data from a data provider will ask to make a payment operation. The flow in this case would pass first from the web array, then from the SDK array, and finally to the tokenizer. In this case, we go directly to the tokenizer and try the payment API. First, let's check the balance of the data consumer. So we get the Ethereum address of the data consumer, and with this API, we get his balance. As we can see, there are 6 marketplaces, and this data consumer has 40 tokens of the marketplace 4. Now we can check the balance also of the data provider 1. Okay, in this case we can see that the data provider have 15 tokens of the marketplace 4. Now we can try the payment API that needs the sender address, that in our case is the address of the data consumer 1, and the address of the provider. We get this address. Okay, so for example, we can say that for some data, our data consumer have to pay 5 tokens. We execute the API, and we get in return the raw transaction of this operation. At this point, we must sign the operation using the user wallet, this piece of flow. Okay, now we can go to the API of the i3 Market wallet on the sign API that request the DID of the signer, that in our case is data consumer 1, get DID, and to the data to sign we insert the raw transaction of the operation that we generated. Now we execute it. The wallet asks if we want to sign this transaction. We say yes, and in exchange we get the signed raw transaction. At this point, we can deploy this raw transaction using the Tokenizer API. So we go again on the Tokenizer API, on the deploy signed transaction that needs as body the signed row transaction that we generated before. So we go on the wallet API, we get the signed row transaction, and we execute the API. Now we have to wait for the transaction. Okay, the transaction has been successful. Now we can check the balances of the data provider and the data consumer. So the balance of the data consumer one is 35 tokens instead of 40, and the balance of the data provider one is 20, and before was 15. So we pay 5 token from the data consumer one.